Hi, this is Ron with Mobile Fix Automotive. Gonna do a little video. This is not a installation video to show you how to fix something. It's gonna show you how to keep yourself from doing something that's not gonna end well. It is related to the valve cover gasket on a 7.3 Powerstroke from model years 99 and a half to 2003. And now that you've seen my information, this is the part that we're dealing with. It is a Dorman part number, DOR 615-201. And what we have is, I'm just giving you a heads up on this for those of you that work on the 7.3 Powerstrokes and you watch my videos, and hopefully this will be helpful for you. 3 years ago was the last time I installed a Dorman gasket. Sorry about that, had a little technical malfunction. The gasket that I put in 3 years ago, what ended up happening to me, and I have very, very little comebacks, and a lot of that from those of you that watch all my other videos know that I like to use a lot of dealer parts. On Powerstrokes, my rule of thumb is always use Ford Motorcraft, and that's pretty much what I stick with. There are some exceptions that I have to deal with, which is when a customer says I don't want a Motorcraft part. I want, in this particular case, this gentleman wants the Dorman gasket because it's supposed to be an upgrade, kind of a problem solver type thing. And what happened with the one that I did 3 years ago, getting back to that, was we did a glow plugs basically on bank 1, which is the passenger side bank cylinder head. We did all 4 of the glow plugs. While we were in there, the customer bought his own this same Dorman gasket, and because it was an upgrade, and he asked me to put it in for him, and I did. And the vehicle came back a week later running really bad with the check engine light on for injector problems. And when I took the valve cover off, I found some pinch wires. Originally, when that happened, the first thing everybody does is throw us mechanics underneath the bus. You screwed up. Yeah, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's not normal for me to make a gigantic mistake like pinching wires, and so it kind of has always bugged me in the back of my mind. But I'm going to show you now. I believe I see where the problem came from, and it was just from not looking hard enough at the actual gasket. I believe Dorman has a problem with these that they need to correct when they send them out, because not everybody is gonna catch this on the first time. I didn't, and this is the second time I've seen it on the second gasket 3 years apart. So apparently they're still making it the same way they made it then, I'm assuming. So let me show you what we're talking about, or I am talking about. Sorry about that. I'm one-handed today because I don't have my helper with me. Justin is actually out applying for other jobs at the moment. So here's what you need to do. For those of you that have already done the job or are looking at doing it, this is the valve cover gasket for a Ford 7.3. Now this is not exactly the same as the Ford gasket, and what's different about this is that if you look right here, you will notice when you look at a Ford gasket that this connector is removable. You can unplug it. It basically looks like this. It looks like there'll be one of those, and you can just unplug it, and then there's another plug on the other side. So basically your electrical harness for your injectors and your glow plugs on a 7.3 route through the valve cover gasket. Okay, just like that, and then on the back side they come out. Well, what Dorman has done, which actually in theory is a great idea, is they made this permanent. So the wires are fused into this. So this, no matter how much rattle or vibration the engine has, theoretically this part right here, as long as the plastic never breaks, should never fail. Now, I'm going to take a quick second to let all of you followers and people watching the video know that there are some good videos out there on some shortcuts. One of the shortcuts is a thing called the quarter technique, or the quarter trick. The quarter trick I can't show you on this gasket because this is an aftermarket that is one piece, and I do not have this one out of the vehicle yet. But the quarter trick is basically where this connector right here is. This piece right here which is shaped a little different on the inner one, usually gets weak and it pops out of the little housing. So what they do is they cut a quarter in half, and when they push this thing back in really tight, they push a quarter in there, and the quarter basically keeps it from falling back out. The problem that I've had with that is I have personally seen a couple of those where the quarter has fallen out because the plastic piece that the quarter presses into breaks from old age. Then guess where the quarter goes? Clink, 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 roll, 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 ends up down in the crankcase. So far I haven't seen a quarter damage an engine, but for those people that have watched my video on the Ford Triton spark plugs and they complain about the shavings in the cylinder that they supposedly can never get out, story for a whole nother day. What do you think a half a quarter is going to do floating around inside the engine where the crankcase is spinning around like a Frappuccino machine? So there's always that potential. So that's why I do things the right way. I put in new parts, usually dealer parts. So now that I'm off of my rant from that, basically what I'm going to help you guys do so that you guys don't have the same problem I had the last time is this is where the problem lies that bit me in the butt on the last one. Okay, you see this yellow and black wire? Now that yellow and black wire is actually going to be my #1 fuel injector wiring. Now the fuel injector wiring on this is not like the 6.0, and it's not like automobile. Most automobiles run 12 volts to the injectors. The 7.3 diesel is a high energy system. It runs over 100 volts, almost basically house current. I think it runs right at 115, 120 volts. So you have to make sure that you don't mess with these wires when the engine's running because it'll light you up. So what I want you guys to do, and I'm going to get to the end of this video real quick because like I said, this is just information and not repair, is when you go to install this gasket is going to go on the engine. There's these little, see if I can find see this little tab that sticks up in this direction? It's actually going to go down. It's going to go, sorry for the view, I'm trying to get the zoom in. It's actually, when it goes on the engine, it's going to be facing down. That actually holds the gasket in place. And so this part is going to always face up towards the intake manifold. So when you lay this thing into the engine, what I want you to do is I want you to take 2 fingers and I want you to just take your fingernail or fingers and pull the wiring harness over this little recess right here where your gasket's going to, where your valve cover is going to pinch the gasket. Because that is supposed to happen. You are supposed to pinch your gasket a little with the valve cover. That's how you seal the oil from dripping out on the ground. All right, so do that. And then just make sure that the top wire is flush with the plastic. And then when you bolt your valve cover down, it's just going to push the wire. It's not going to pinch it, and you're not going to end up with a dead short like I did. Okay, this is one of those things where I don't know if I really want to use my famous phrase, engineers should not be allowed to work unsupervised. However, we have zip ties here, 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 but they did nothing to keep the wires from popping back over here when the product is being shipped. And so it's something you need to keep your eye on. At this point, I am not going to talk bad at all about the Dorman valve cover gasket. I think it's a great design actually because it should theoretically stop the problems, 60,000 miles from now with that plug rattling loose in the middle of nowhere, and then injectors stop firing and the engine runs like dog turds. So hopefully this helps you guys out. If you guys have a problem after the repair that you did and you're having all kinds of runnability issues, the first thing to always check is your valve cover gasket connections, because that's usually, if the truck was running okay and then you put it back together and it's running kind of rough, the chances of an injector just dying right away is pretty slim. Same thing with the glow plug light. The code's coming on for glow plug circuit. If you just did a repair and you didn't have that prior, chances are you didn't get this connector right here, which is the glow plug wire, the white wires. Chances are you didn't get that pushed down all the way. When you push them down on there, I use a little pair of needle nose pliers and then a flathead screwdriver to just push it down in until it comes to a stop. So once again, this is Ron with Mobile Fix Automotive. I know I've yacked a lot, just trying to put as much information on this as I possibly can. Once again, this is on the Dorman valve cover gasket upgrade for the 7.3 Powerstroke. The Huey one, which is 99.5 to 2003. If you have any questions, give me a call. Please remember, folks, I'm getting really busy on my YouTube videos. I've got about 40 of them posted now, and I do actually try to call people back for legitimate reasons. I cannot do diagnostics over the phone 90% of the time, so keep that in mind when you're calling to ask me what you think the problem with your car is. Sometimes it's hard enough when the car is sitting here in my shop for me to figure out what it is. That's, you know, what's the catchphrase? That's why we get paid the big bucks. Well, that's kind of funny. Anyway, see you guys on the next video. Hope this helps somebody out. Bye.